And welcome to this extended video version of Closer Look with Rose Scott. I am Rose Scott, and we are here for a reason. As you can see, we have the soccer ball, but there's a reason. We're not going to just talk about soccer. We're going to talk about the future of soccer. We're going to talk about the future of soccer here in Atlanta, and I'm joined now by Cindy Parlow Cone, who is the president of U.S. Soccer Federation. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You've been playing a long time. How long?
I started playing when I was 3 years old, so only like 10 years.
So, but you still got some skills though, right?
You know, I don't know that I have any skills anymore.
Before this interview is over, we're going to have you show us some soccer moves just for, you know, a veteran like me so I can impress my nieces and nephews. I think you'll be up for it.
I think I can help you out with that.
At the time of this interview, you all are in town, not just because we know that World Cup, the men's, there's going to be some matches here in Atlanta, but you are also here with FIFA because you're citing locations for the Women's World Cup in 2027. You want to go ahead and make the announcement that it's going to be here in Atlanta, some matches? You can do it right now, Cindy. You can.
I would love to be able to say that, but right now we're in the bidding process. So there's two other bids out there. So Brazil is also bidding, as well as 3 countries in Europe are in a single bid. So we're bidding alongside Mexico to try to host the 2027 Women's World Cup right here. So we have the Men's World Cup in 26, which we've already been awarded. So we're hosting alongside Canada and Mexico. And now we're trying to win the bid to host the 2027 Women's World Cup. So just a year later, alongside Mexico.
What does FIFA look for in a city to host a World Cup match?
Well, we're hoping that they're looking for everything that Atlanta has to offer. We were at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium today. What a fantastic stadium, right? And Arthur Blank and his team and what they've done for soccer, not just in Atlanta, but for this country. And he's also been instrumental in helping U.S. Soccer build our home right here in Atlanta, Georgia. So for FIFA coming here, I think they're seeing not only a great stadium, but a great city that surrounds it. Wonderful hotels and accommodations, great areas for the fans to mingle and mix, whether it's tailgating or hanging out or doing fan fest before the games, between games, what have you. And I think also just the diversity of the city, right? I mean, there's such a rich culture here in Atlanta, which is one of the reasons why U.S. Soccer wanted to build our home here. And I think also because we are actually bringing the world to the United States, transportation is really important. In
That's
Atlanta,
my next question, because beyond the stadium, infrastructure-wise too, you all looking at how we move people in and out, how we will be able to move a influx of people, probably millions could be, in and out around these matches. So you all looking beyond just the stadium itself.
Exactly. So you have MARTA, you have an amazing airport, the busiest airport in the world, I think one of the best, and then just your interstate system to go.
When you look at and you visit other places around the world, are you seeing something that they offer when it comes to World Cup matches that perhaps maybe we in the U.S. could do a better job of, you think?
I think one thing that is really growing here in the U.S. is people are growing up with soccer. And so people that have played soccer are now raising kids of their own, which I think, for instance, when I was growing up, it was very rare that people's parents had played soccer here in the U.S. Now it's very commonplace, and now those people are having kids, and they're growing up with soccer. And so the culture of soccer is really growing here in the U.S., and I think you're seeing that in the success of our professional leagues, both on the men's and the women's side, and also in the number of kids playing soccer.
Is the criteria the same in terms of when it comes to the Men's World Cup and the Women's World Cup, in terms of what FIFA is looking for? There's no difference in anything, because there's fans that flock in from all over the world. So there's nothing really different in terms of if there's a checklist that they're looking at in terms of host cities.
Right, so this is a really important part of our bid, is because we want to provide an equal experience for all the players, the teams, and the fans and the referees that we're going to provide in 2026. So for 2027 bid, it's exactly the same, because we want everyone to have the same experience on the same level, which has never been done before.
Are they asking questions? Are the folks from FIFA asking you questions? You all putting on your best presentation, not just for the United States, but Atlanta? Do you also have to work with Atlanta officials and trying to sell that, Atlanta is the place to be? Now, it helps that the men's is going to be here in 2026, so you know that the city can accommodate it. But do you also have to do a little bit extra selling to say, look, come back in 2027 for the Women's World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, we are definitely in sales mode. This is really important to us as a federation, and I think it's important for the women's game globally, because we think that a World Cup here and in Mexico for 2027 can have an economic impact that will allow FIFA to really invest in the girls and women's game, not just here and in Mexico or within CONCACAF, which is our region, but across the globe. And so for the first time, FIFA can really invest significant funds in all 211 member associations. So these are all countries that are members of FIFA, and allow them to really make significant impact on growing their women's and girls programming.
You know what it's like. You've been in stadiums, huge venues. You feel the electricity of the crowd, the energy. How much do you take from that experience as a player into what you're doing now? Because now you're on the executive side and on the
I
side
don't
of
have
trying
90,000 people cheering me on anymore. It's a real downer. It's been rough. No, but seriously, it is such a huge part of the game. And, I was lucky enough to be a part of the 99 World Cup team when Brandi Chastain ripped off her shirt and her sports bra, one of the most iconic sports photos ever taken. But what that moment did for not only women's soccer, but for women's sports in this country, I truly believe that a Women's World Cup in 2027 here in the U.S. and Mexico can do that for soccer throughout the entire world.
Well, let's talk about growing the game. We know it's popular, but growing the game in terms of also equity and ensuring that, all little girls who want to possibly be in that position with Brandi. What an amazing team, too, that 99 team. And you've been a part of so many teams, but that team was so iconic. But getting to ensure that there's equity in this process so that all little girls have an opportunity and have access to learning the game and possibly being in that position that you were with Brandi and your teammates back then. Definitely.
So, I mean, I'm the person I am today, I'm the leader that I am today because of the opportunities that sports gave me. And I'm not even talking about the national team. Like, that was unbelievable, and that was like the cherry on top. But just growing up and being able to play sports at the high school level, college level, I played at the pro and international level. But those skills that I learned, there's no way that I would be where I am today without it.
In that vision that you all have in terms of ensuring that in different neighborhoods, different communities, whether it's inner city or whether it's rural, what role do you feel like you all can do even a bigger job, have a bigger footprint in ensuring that, if you can, that there are programs that you all can help fund programs so that whether someone is in Atlanta or in South Georgia or North Georgia, at least have access to learning about the game.
Exactly, and that's what we want part of our legacy for 26 and as well as 27 to be, is that every kid has the opportunity to play and also to kind of reimagine soccer, because a lot of people think soccer is 11 versus 11 on a beautiful flat green soccer field, right? But it can be 2v2 in a backyard. It can be futsal in the gymnasium court. It can be an after-school program where kids are just learning skills. So I think we've got to take a different look at how we view soccer and make sure that we are very inclusive of everyone, regardless of their background, regardless of their ability.
Can you imagine not playing soccer at this point now where you are? Can you imagine, what if I did something else?
I mean, soccer has been literally a major factor in my life since I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
My best friends have come through playing the sport. I feel like my leadership ability has come through learning from my amazing teammates that I had on that 99 team that you talked about. And we had some of the best leaders on that team that I've ever been around. And so much of who I am came from and was developed through playing soccer. So no, I have no idea what my life would be like without soccer.
Well, let's talk about development as you look at those teams that you were on and how the U.S. has been able to progress. And I want to be very clear and fair because the women have had a little bit more success than the men. Is that fair for me to say?
Yeah.
But in terms of growing the game and developing players with the women's national team, we've been doing a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, and a lot of the credit goes to Title IX. Right? Title IX really helped our national team get an early start because the college environment provided a development ground for what would become our women's national team players. And so I think that really helped. And then I also want to give credit to my predecessors, right? They really invested in the women's side of the game before most countries were investing in it. And I'm a product of that investment. I think the women's game is where it is because we did have a head start, and now we're seeing other countries are really investing and seeing how valuable it is. It's not just the right thing to do to invest in women. It makes good business sense as well. And so we're having to raise the bar again and to make sure that we remain competitive and remain on the top of the world on the women's side.
And look, on the women's side, they want to get back to being the World Cup champions. Didn't work out the last time. So how do you see this team developing by 27 here?
I mean, it's a really exciting time. I mean, we are starting to see the young stars come into the roster. And, I do not envy Emma Hayes, who will have to pick a roster for the Olympics this summer because it is going to be challenging. So I'm glad that's her job and not mine.
With what happens in the Olympics, the success of the U.S. team, the men and women's in the Olympics, how do you see that being? For some folks, they say, well, how they do depends on what they would do when the World Cup comes to the United States. So you buy that? You use the Olympic matchups as that's what we look at to see how we'll be, when it comes to World Cup time?
I think the Olympics is a good litmus test, right? It's a good checkpoint of where are we now in this moment in time. So by the Olympic time, we'll be 3 years out from the Women's World Cup. So it's a good test for us to see where we're at, where our deficiencies are, where are our strengths, and what do we need to do, and which players are pushing to make the 27 World Cup team, what young ones, what veterans, and trying to put that together. On the men's side, it's entirely different because the Olympic team is an under 23 team.
Yeah.
So it's a much younger team. It's not the full men's national team like it is on the women's side. So that's a completely different dynamic. And so it'll be really exciting to see a lot of younger players on the men's side coming through and playing in the Olympics and see which of those, because they'll be 2 years out from their World Cup in 26. And so how many of those younger players are going to be able to push into the 26 roster?
Meanwhile, your job in all of this and making sure that, because you don't want to say that it's coming yet, but in making sure that we want Atlanta to be a site for the Women's World Cup. So what are you going to push? What are you going to push for with FIFA for us?
Oh yeah, I'm pushing with FIFA, and the good thing is obviously FIFA loves Atlanta as well. I mean, you're hosting a semifinal for the 26 World Cup, so that's pretty huge for Atlanta as well. And then I would love for Atlanta to be a part of the Women's World Cup once we win this bid.
All right. Now there's the She Believes Cup that's coming up as well.
Yes.
What do you want folks to know about that?
Come watch the games. It is going to be unbelievable. We are going to pack Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So if you don't have your tickets yet, you need to get them because they're selling fast.
And we take on Japan, right?
Yeah.
Now, I have a producer, Daniel Razel. He roots for Brazil. He's right over there. If you want to look over and say something to him, give him the evil eye.
I gave him the stink eye.
Who are those other teams that you kind of look at like, we always want to bring our A game, but we got to bring our A+ game when we play.
Yeah, this is the great thing about the women's game right now. Back when I was playing, you could almost predict who would be in the semifinals. Now, there are so many good teams, and the teams that aren't in the top rankings, they can upset a team on any given day and make it very challenging for a team to advance or to win a match. So I'm going to avoid your question because, as a player, I always entered a match confident. But it was never like, oh, this is an easy match. Yeah. Like, I always had respect for my opponent and knew that I had to bring everything I had in order to beat that opponent. So for me, you got to bring your A+ game every single day.
Was there then a moment, a particular match where there was a World Cup match or international play where you say, look, if this is going to be my highlight reel for my career, this is it? Because I'm going to go look up at that match at the end of this conversation. Is there one?
Is there one where I played an amazing match? Is that what you're saying?
Well, like this is your highlight reel. This is the Cindy Parlow Cone. This is it.
Oh man,
It's your Hall of Fame reel.
I don't know. I'm very self-critical. So I mean, a soccer match is 90 minutes plus.
But you had some incredible games, though.
Yeah, but it is hard to put together like a near perfect game in soccer. Like it just doesn't happen. You know, I remember as a player they would put highlight reels together for us, and we were supposed to watch it to like motivate ourselves and build our confidence. And I would sit there and just pick apart like my highlight reel of what things that I should have done better. So I don't know that it's within my ability to pick out a game like that.
What is the mindset of a player going into a World Cup match and then the deciding match for the cup?
Yeah, I mean, the mentality is going in and just thinking about what do you need to do to help your team win? How do you help your team be successful? So whether you're in the starting 11 or you're likely to be subbed in or you're going to be sitting on the bench the entire game, what can you do to help your team win? And how can you be the best teammate? Who needs you the most? And how can you cheer on your team? Or how can you be the leader that your team needs you to be on the field?
So if there's a young person watching this now, they're just starting and they love this game, what do you want them to know about passion for this game?
Enjoy this ball.
Yeah?
Have fun with it. This is about having fun. This is a game. You know, I was fortunate enough to play at the highest levels, and it was always fun. So my message to young kids is make sure you're having fun, and if you're not having fun, move to another team, find a different environment, because this game should be fun. I made my best friends through this game. Now, every training session may not be fun, but if the overall feeling is that you're enjoying it and having fun and making connections with people and enjoying the people you're around, that's what's going to keep you in the game.
Was there a drill that you particularly enjoyed? And was there one you're like, oh no, we got that today? I know, because in track and field there was like, oh, we have this today, and there were days like, oh, it's a good fun day.
You know, I loved practice. But even more than practice, I loved kicking people. So, so anything that was combative and like 1v1 exercises, I loved testing myself, going up against people 1v1, and I loved the physical.
Who was the toughest that you had that 1v1 against?
Man, there's a lot of good defenders out there. You know, Joy Fawcett, who was a teammate of mine, who's now coaches with our women's deaf national team, was one of the most challenging defenders to play against. Her feet were so fast, and usually I could read defenders and what they were thinking and what they were trying to do, but with her, for some reason, I could never read her. She was just a fantastic defender.
Do you have a favorite player?
Do I have a favorite player now?
Or in all of this, yeah.
Well, growing up, the player that I tried to emulate the most was Zinedine Zidane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
He was a player that I felt like played a style that I really loved and that I wanted to play like that. And actually and I never really said it to anyone. It was just kind of an inner thought of mine. And then one day, one of my friends said, you know who you remind me of when you were playing? And I was like, who? And she said, Zinedine. And I was like, are you kidding? Like,
it made your day.
It made my day. I don't know if she was just trying to make me happy, but it was that was definitely the player that I tried to emulate. All that, except for his headbutt. I've never tried to emulate that one.
When will we in Atlanta know that we are going to be part of the Women's World Cup site selection?
So we'll find out if we win the bid on May 17th of this year. And so after that, then the process starts of which cities.
And what's that process like?
I don't know. It was a very long, drawn-out process with 26, but we're on a much tighter timeline for the 27 Women's World Cup. So we'll get together with FIFA and put in the proposed all the cities that are interested, and we'll work through it similar to how we did with 26, but in a much more expedient fashion.
Meanwhile, you all are building a facility here in the Atlanta area. It's a huge, state-of-the-art, I love when they say that, state-of-the-art training complex. What will this entail?
Oh man, this is going to be unbelievable. This is really going to be a game changer for U.S. soccer and quite generally soccer in the U.S. We're one of the top federations that has never had our own national training center. And so now we're going to have our national training center and moving our headquarters to Atlanta. So we have 27 national teams. So this will be a home for all 27 of our national teams, as well as we have membership throughout the entire country, youth and adult, and all, as well as our pro team. So this will be a true home for soccer in America.
And a while ago, you mentioned the hearing impaired team. Do you think a lot of people know you have these different levels of affiliation for soccer here in this country?
No, we definitely haven't done a good enough job of getting the word out. Yeah, we have extended national teams, 5 of which are disability national teams. So we have men's deaf team, we have a women's deaf team, a women's cerebral palsy team, a men's cerebral palsy team, and a power soccer team, which is a power wheelchair, which is if you haven't ever done that, I have to get you out there because it is the most fun and also exhausting way to play soccer.
And all great athletes too, we should let folks know.
And then we have a whole gamut of youth national teams starting at U14 all the way up to U23, and then obviously our senior men's and women's national teams.
Do you have a public media team?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Are you just starting one now because I just asked that? Like you have a public radio team.
No, we don't have a public radio team.
You should get a public radio team.
Okay. All right.
I'm just,
I'm right. I know how to contact you now. I know where to find you, so you better watch out.
When you think about starting at the age of 3, Cindy, and where you are now, President, U.S. Soccer Federation.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
You said it. What's this journey been like?
It's been crazy. I feel like at times, like I was just the idiot that said yes. You know, every step of the way, like I was always game for the challenge. I was game for the adventure, even though maybe I was a little scared or had butterflies or not really sure that I could do it. Whether it was going into the national team for the first time or going into the full national team for the first time or running for vice president or when the current president resigned, becoming president overnight, something that I had never imagined. It was I kind of call myself the accidental president because it was never anything that I was seeking. But I think sometimes in your life, things are thrown at you, and sometimes it's good to be the idiot that says yes, and leadership is thrust upon you. And I'm very grateful to be in the position, to have been in this position, to make positive change in our sport, especially at a very challenging time when I came in March of 2020. Yeah.
And we should know there aren't a lot of women who are federation presidents in all of this.
Correct.
Yeah. So we need to grow that aspect of it too as well.
I'm working on it. So when I came in, there were only 4 females of the 211, and I think we are now up to 14. So we still got a long ways to go. I'm not saying we're there yet, but
progress.
But it is progress in the right direction.
All right. Now, before we say goodbye, and we have this soccer ball here, and I'm hoping that Jess and the crew here will be able to get your footwork, because I still believe you have some outstanding footwork.
I don't, but I tried to pick up the ball earlier.
Well, we have it taped down because it's for this, but we're going to untape it. So, like, I think, I got a little bit,
You got a little bit, yeah.
That's okay.
I can pass it to you.
Okay, so that's the thing. So you want to go with the inside of the foot?
With a short pass like this, you could go with the outside.
Outside,
but that's
okay.
sometimes more challenging to control.
All right, now I want to do something fancy. I want to try to
do something fancy.
I better not do that.
You want to do a move? I can teach you a move.
Teach me a move now.
All
what
right.
we got? Okay.
So you just stand in front. And you go around it.
Okay.
And then go with the other foot. So you're faking me out.
All right. So I'm going to go around it and
maybe
come with
go
this
here,
one.
And then you dribble that way. There you go.
Did y'all see that? Did we get that on camera? I faked out one of the greatest soccer players
I never saw it coming.
Never saw it coming. Cindy Parlow Cone, thank you so much for taking time.
You.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for being part of this.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And you know what? I wore my Atlanta United.
I know. I see that. I like it.
All right.
WABE.